Hey, welcome back. Today, we are diving into a moment that can make even the most confident person's heart race, asking for a raise. Why does such a straightforward request feel so incredibly difficult? Well, let's dive in and find out. So, picture this. You've put in the hours, you've crushed your goals, you've consistently gone above and beyond. You know, logically, that you deserve more compensation. So why is it that when the moment to actually ask comes around, your stomach just flips and your palms start to sweat?
Look, if that feeling sounds familiar, I promise you it is not just you. That hesitation, it's not just about having an awkward conversation. The real barrier is so much deeper. It's like an invisible script that's been running in the background of your mind for years. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on it.
Okay, so first up, let's just get a feel for how widespread this really is. We're talking about a huge gap between what people feel they're worth and what they're actually willing to ask for. So get this. A survey in Success magazine found something pretty wild. A massive 80% of employees feel like they deserve a raise. But look at this. Only 60% will ever actually go and ask for one. That 20-point gap, that represents millions in unclaimed earnings, all of it just sitting behind this wall of hesitation, a wall that might be holding you back too. So, what's really going on here? What's behind that wall? Well, this slide breaks down the why. The most common reasons are pretty relatable. The fear of hearing no, worrying about your job security, and this is a big one, the fear of damaging the relationship with your manager, coming off as ungrateful or even greedy. But here's the thing. As CEO Mark Pierce points out, these fears are really just symptoms of a much deeper problem: insecurity. It's that little nagging voice of imposter syndrome whispering in your ear that maybe, just maybe, you aren't good enough, that you're a fraud and you don't really deserve it. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of that insecurity, we have to dig a little deeper. We need to look at the internal programming that's running the show, often completely without our permission. Let's call it your inner financial blueprint. All right, so the core idea here comes from Dr. Maxwell Maltz's amazing work on psychocybernetics. He called it our self-image. It's kind of like the master plan for your entire personality. Here's the key. It's not who you are, but who you believe you are. And this blueprint has been built piece by piece from every single experience you've ever had. I love this analogy. Think of your mind like an iceberg. That small tip you see above the water, that's your conscious mind, the part that thinks and analyzes. But the massive, powerful part hidden below the surface is your subconscious. That's your feeling mind. It's the engine room, and it just accepts ideas as fact, no questions asked. Your self-image is programmed right into that engine. So what happens when that self-image gets programmed with negative ideas about money? Well, we develop what are called money blocks. These are these really specific, limiting beliefs that we picked up a lot of times when we were kids that act like an invisible ceiling on what we can earn. And, they usually sound a little something like this. First, there's the scarcity mindset, this feeling that there's just never enough to go around. Then you've got money guilt, that deep down belief that you just don't really deserve to be wealthy. And you even see a fear of success, this worry that having more money will actually change you for the worse. And this brings us right to our next big idea, where we're going to see how this inner world of ours creates a direct, almost magnetic connection to our outer world. The link between how we see ourselves and our financial reality is just so incredibly powerful. This quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Of course, the market plays a role for sure, but the value you put on yourself plays a massive part in what you're willing to ask for and ultimately what you get. Basically, your paycheck ends up being a mirror, reflecting how you see yourself. And look, this isn't just some feel-good theory. Researchers at the Institute for the Study of Labor wanted to know if this connection was real. And what they found? It confirmed it. Higher self-esteem doesn't just happen to go along with higher earnings, it actually causes them. So let's break down what this actually looks like in the real world. Someone with lower self-esteem is way more likely to undercharge for what they do, to avoid negotiating completely, and even to unconsciously sabotage their own financial progress. But on the flip side, someone with high self-esteem, they price their work based on its real value. They're always on the lookout for better opportunities, and they just operate with this fundamental financial confidence. Okay, so here's the good news, the really crucial part. If this internal blueprint is the problem, then that means we have the power to fix it. We can actually draw up a new set of plans. But the big question is, How do you do that? How do you rewrite a story that's been on repeat for like decades? It really boils down to this simple three-step process. First, you've got to uncover your story. Think back to your earliest memories of money. What did your parents say about it? How did it make you feel? Second, you have to challenge those beliefs. Ask yourself, is it really true that money is the root of all evil, or is that just an old idea you picked up somewhere? And third, and this is the most important step, build new proof. You have to create new real-world experiences that prove the old story wrong. And one of the absolute best ways to build that new proof is something called the competence confidence loop. It's actually super simple, but so powerful. Pushing yourself to do something that scares you, that builds competence. That new competence builds real earned confidence, and that confidence makes it easier to push your comfort zone even further the next time. It creates this amazing upward spiral. Okay, so I want to give you a really practical tool you can literally start using tonight. It's called a brag list. Before you go to sleep, write down 25 things you love about yourself, accomplishments, good qualities, successes, anything. Then read the list. Doing this right before sleep is huge because that's when your subconscious is most open to new information. You are literally feeding it new evidence of your own worth, reprogramming that self-image one night at a time. And this, right here, brings us full circle, back to that conversation about your paycheck. Because once you start rewriting that internal script and building genuine confidence, the ask itself starts to feel totally different. See, the whole ask stops feeling like you're begging for something and starts being about just presenting the facts. As PR specialist Vanessa Wade says, you gather your proof. You basically turn your internal brag list into an external professional case that shows the real, tangible value you bring to the table. And here's another great tip. You can completely reframe the conversation. Try leading with gratitude for the opportunity you have. An approach like this just changes the entire vibe. It's no longer a confrontation, it's a collaborative chat about your growth, and any good manager will see that as a really positive sign. So you see what's happening here? When you do that internal work first, the ask itself is totally transformed. It's no longer this scary moment of potential rejection. It becomes something completely different, an act of self-validation. It's an external confirmation of the worth that you've already claimed for yourself on the inside. So I want to leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We focus so much on the number on the paycheck, but what if the most valuable raise you can give yourself has nothing to do with money at all? What if the real prize is finding the courage to finally and confidently ask for what you're truly worth?